Hello Star Citizens, BuzZz here, and welcome back to the channel. So I just got done watching the Gamescom 2015 live stream, and let me tell you, I was blown away. So in this video, I'm going to go over some of the highlights from the stream. So if you haven't watched it yet, and you don't want any spoilers, I suggest you close this video right now and go watch it on the Star Citizen Twitch channel. It should be under their previous broadcasts. So now that that's out of the way, let's get started. In this live stream, CIG released a ton of new and exciting content. This includes current 1.1.6 features, the upcoming Star Citizen branded peripherals, soon to be released website updates, and of course the major modules that are coming out. So let's start off with the current release. Alpha 1.1.6 was released to the live servers yesterday. This patch includes the new launcher, which is much faster and more efficient than the previous version. Download speeds are much higher, and you won't have to download the entire client every time there's a new release. It also integrates access to the PTU into the same launcher, making it much easier to switch between the two builds. Also in this patch, they have added the Vanduul Glaive to the list of flyable ships. The only way to get this ship is to finish the newly revamped Vanduul Swarm. Now, I'm not sure if you have to do this in multiplayer co-op mode or in single player, but if you're one of the first 1,000 backers to get through all 20, yes, that's 20 waves, you will unlock the ability to rent the Glaive in the Electronic Access Store. The Glaive is, of course, the symmetrical version of the Vanduul Scythe. It comes with 2 ramming blades and 2 of the long-range plasma cannons. That's in lieu of the smaller, slower-firing neutron cannon on the Scythe. Next up, we have several updates that are coming to the web page. There are 3 new sections that will soon be added to the RSI website. The first is the Issue Council. Now, this is the new bug reporting section. The site will track all submitted bugs and their current status. There are currently 3 stages to the bug submission system. First is the contribution stage. Here you'll enter new bug reports or verify those that are already in the system. If it's a new report, the page will get all the required information from you via an easy to fill out form. There'll be a section for the bug description, your system specs, and the steps it took you to reproduce the bug. Other backers will be able to view your report and indicate if they were able to reproduce the bug or not. They'll also be able to report a duplicate entry. Now, the next stage of the Issue Council is prioritization. Once a bug report has a sufficient amount of backers verify it, there will be an option for the community to vote on how soon they want the bug fixed. So as other backers upvote your report, it'll move up in the queue. The final stage is the resolve stage. This is where CIG gets involved and places the bug on their internal list of bugs to be fixed. Now, from what I understand, we will be able to track the progress from the acceptance of the bugs to the final implementation of the fix. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I guess we'll see. Now, you'll also be able to track how many bug reports and verifications you have submitted. So it might make it like a little competition there between backers to see who actually contributes the most to the bug report section. The next new section of the website is the Community Hub. Now, this will be your one-stop shop for all user-created content. Content will be broken down into several sections by type. Sections include screenshots, videos, art, podcasts, and stream feeds. It'll kind of follow the Reddit model by allowing backers to upvote or downvote and comment on your content. Now, you can bet I'll be making my own page on this new section as soon as it goes live, and my videos will go up there as well. Now, the final section of the website is the Ship Pipeline and Stretch Goal Status Tracker. Now, they didn't elaborate too much on this section, but it sounds pretty self-explanatory. So really no more bugging Ben about ship status on Reverse the Verse. Now, also on the website, they've put several items up for sale for the live stream. Now, okay, this includes your standard fare of starships, like the Retaliator, Reclaimer, and a few others. But it also includes something completely different. Now, these are modules for the Retaliator. So right now you can customize your tally by purchasing different modules for it. Now the modules run anywhere from $25 to $75, and they include front and rear versions of living quarters, cargo modules, the original torpedo bays, which come with the ship already, and you can also get a dropship module, but only for the front section. Now, also on this page on the website, you can buy a stripped down version of the Retaliator that comes without any torpedo bays or anything. That way, you can buy the Retaliator for $150 and then outfit it with whatever modules you want in it. Now, I don't think these modules are in the game right now. I think they're just in concept phase, so they won't show up in your hangar yet. But they'll also be releasing more of these modules in the future. These are including stuff like cryostasis pods for bounty hunters, medical equipment, salvage equipment, and even a Titan armor recharging station. So that should be pretty interesting. Now, speaking of new items to buy, if you follow Reddit, you already know that MadCat/SciTech has been chosen to build the Star Citizen HOTAS. But apparently that's not all. They'll also be creating 2 versions of that HOTAS. Now, the first will be an entry-level joystick with a detachable throttle. What's really cool is both the stick and the throttle will have trackballs mounted on them to allow us to aim our gimbaled weapons. The joystick and throttle will also be able to attach to either sides of a Star Citizen branded keyboard. They'll also be, of course, releasing a mouse, a headset, and another button panel you can also attach to the keyboard to finish off the set. The thing I'm most excited about, though, is the higher level version of the HOTAS. The higher end model will be heavily based on the current, the X65 HOTAS. Now, the X65 was discontinued due to some problems with the joystick pressure sensors. If you haven't seen that version, it's basically like an X55 with a pressure sensors instead of the spring system. The X55 was, of course, discontinued due to those problems with the pressure sensors, but the Star Citizen model seems to have gone back to the old spring system found on the X55. But it also retains the improvements in the X65 to the throttle switches. The joystick portion also comes with an OLED display, which may even be a touch screen. The mock-up showed a status display of several ship systems. Now, for a long time, I was using an X55 HOTAS myself. Unfortunately, the throttle started to give out about a month ago. Several of the buttons on the throttle kind of stopped working at certain throttle positions and eventually stopped working altogether. I opened up the throttle unit and I found that the wires that were running from the buttons to the base to the circuit board in the base had rubbed through the insulation and in some cases were completely broken in half. So I tried to solder them back together and cover them back with some electrical tape, but the result was shorter wires that broke again almost immediately. So hopefully the new Star Citizen model will have a much higher build quality. Either way, I don't know if I'll buy one, as I'm actually quite thoroughly enjoying my new joystick. I purchased a Thrustmaster Warthog, which even though it has less axes, like it doesn't have a twist axis, but it's much more responsible and so far much more reliable. Now let's get to the best part of the presentation, the modules. They showed us 3 of the upcoming modules, the Social Module, Star Marine, or the FPS module, and of course Arena Commander 2.0 with the multi-crew systems. So, bad news first. The FPS module has been delayed once again. So we won't be seeing that for at least another 2 months or so. Now the good news is they've decided to go ahead and release the Social Module first. So hopefully by the end of the month we should have at least a PTU version of the Social Module to play around with. And I'm really looking forward to inviting my friends and any of my viewers who wish to come in to my hangar and possibly exploring ArcCore with them. So let's talk about the modules one by one. The first demo was the social module, and this demo starts off with us loading into the hangar elevator. The first thing that happens is we see the other players start popping into the elevator with us. So I'm hoping in the first release that this doesn't happen, as it kind of ruins the immersion factor. But once we load in, the elevator opens up into the customs area of ArcCore. This area will be familiar if you've watched the previous PlanetSide demo at the last CitizenCon presentation. In this section, they showed us some of the emotes available. Unfortunately, when viewed from the first person's perspective, your view is bounced around quite a bit during some of these emotes. So if you're prone to motion sickness, beware. Especially if you're wearing some kind of VR setup. Don't even bother if you're using Oculus, unless you maybe have a trash can easily accessible, because it looks pretty bad. But from the exterior, they actually look pretty nice. They showed off a little bit of the chat menu function as well. Now, from the custom station, they took us on a tour of the shops in ArcCore. The first shop we visited was Cubby Blast. Now, this is an ArcCore exclusive personal weapons dealer. Inside, they showed off the augmented reality mode for Moby-Glass. We didn't see actual Moby-Glass, but at least we got to see the augmented reality mode. When they looked at the weapons rack, there was an informational overlay with a description of the weapons and their price. Of course, in the first release, which they're calling version 0, we will not be able to purchase anything. That feature should hopefully be added in the V1 release. Now, the next shop we visited is the medical unit. This is where you'll respawn if you die in the persistent universe. You can also go there to purchase medical supplies like stim packs or the medical gun or whatever. From there, we go next door to the job well. And the job well is where you'll go to access your standard job board. Legal jobs such as cargo hauling and mining can be obtained here. If you want a more legally gray job, you'll have to go probably over to the G-Loc bar, which is again next door. And this is where they take us next. So inside they show off the dance floor and some more dance emotes. Unfortunately, as with some of the other emotes, dancing in the first person is quite a bit nauseating with all the head bobbing. But fortunately, they go to a third person view pretty quickly. After leaving the bar, they took us on a tour of the back alleys of ArcCore. This is definitely the seedy part of town. It seems like a good place to get mugged or maybe find some less than reputable job contacts. Even though the back alleys are really gritty and dirty, they're still quite impressive and beautiful in their own way. So as we emerge from the alleyways, we're taking across a long skywalk, and after watching an aurora pass over, we enter Astro Armada. This is, of course, the ship vendor on ArcCore. It looks like they'll probably be dealing in higher-end ships, as there's an M50 prominently displayed on a rotating platform. From the Astro Armada, we start heading towards the Dumpers Depot. On the way, Chris tells us about another store that is not finished yet, the Kasaba Outlet. This is where we'll buy clothing. But as I said, that shop is not finished, so they couldn't show it to us. The Dumpers Depot is also a familiar sight to anyone that watched the CitizenCon demo. This is where we will go to get our ships fixed, and they even show the Hornet in the background getting repaired. Or we can go there to buy or sell used components, trash, whatever we collect. And that about wraps up the social module. The next module they gave us a look at was Star Marines, or the FPS module. As I said before, there are several problems with Star Marine that are preventing them from releasing the module to the public right now. Most of these problems have to do with animations. Apparently they've had to switch to yet another animation rig, and that means they'll have to remap all the animations to that new rig. And with over 3,000 character animations to remap, it's going to take some time, so at least 2 or 3 months. but hopefully we'll have a playable version in the September-October timeframe. In the demo, they showed off some of the movement animations, including the start, stop, and juke animations that were in. They really do lend a bit of weight to the characters, but not as much as I was expecting. Combat seems to be moderately paced and tactical, similar to games like Arma. The Golden Horizons map is really looking good, and the destructible environment was also on display to some extent. In one portion, one of the Marines actually destroys several light stands, and the area's lighting is adjusted accordingly. The weapons sound really, really good and look like they have a nice level of variation in gameplay. Unfortunately, one thing missing was a sniper rifle, which I was really hoping to see, but it wasn't on display in this demo. The final demo showed off the Arena Commander 2.0 module. This was, of course, the highlight of the presentation and really got me excited for the day when I can hop into my Retaliator with a group of friends and start wrecking shop in Vandal Swarm or Battle Royale. The demonstration is set in a very, very large map that includes several planets and moons. They start us off in an 8-kilometer long space station, which, by the way, is the same size as our current Arena Commander maps. As we sit in our quarters, Chris Roberts tells us that we have just received a mission to secure a derelict Retaliator. So we get up. First thing we do is open up the window and show off the exterior of the station. So you see the spinning station in the background with a nice view of the gas giant that it's orbiting. From there, we grab our helmet and put it on and move to a central room where 5 other players are waiting. After a few obligatory salutes, we continue through an airlock and out to the station's landing pad. From here, we get a really good look at the station, and 2 of our crew members go and jump into their fighters. Everyone else boards a newly modular Cutlass Blue, which has been modified with jump seats in place of the standard jail cells. And from there, we take off. Now here's where things start getting really good. A waypoint to the derelict tally pops up on the screen, and we can see that it's over 3,000 kilometers away. Now at normal speed, Chris tells us that it would take us more than 2.5 hours to get there. Instead, we start spooling up the quantum drive. And once it's ready, we're off. Space elongates around us, and we see several moons and planets zip by until we reach our target destination within about 10 seconds. We revert to normal drive just outside of an astrofield, and looking ahead, we can see the Retaliator drifting in space with a red beacon flashing. The 3 ships approach, and once in position, the Marines and the Cutlass disembark and float towards the empty bomber. Once there, the first Marine pops open the airlock, and we watch him enter the ship from the perspective of the Marine behind him. The zero-G animations are looking pretty amazing, but there's still some issues. The transitions between the animations need some work, because they're kind of jerky at the moment. Well, after those 2 Marines get inside, the Cutlass pilot disembarks and heads towards a hole in the Retaliator where one of the waist turrets used to be. As he enters, you can see him grab onto various handrails and walls as he floats to a panel in the rear of the ship. After opening the panel, he activates the ship's internal gravity and life support. The Marines in the ship fall to the deck, where they're a little bit buggy, and the vents start pouring atmosphere into the vessel. The pilot then moves to the other side of the ship and activates the main power before he starts heading to the cockpit. One of the other Marines activates the engineering panel, and here we get a glimpse of some of the basic controls that are available there. There are controls for the various shield facings, their recharge rates, etc., weapons, and power configurations. It looks like a much more detailed version of the single-player cockpit menus. Now, before the pilot enters the cockpit, we see another Marine enter the bottom turret, which is located directly behind. Now, surprisingly, he's flipped upside down before he enters the turret. Now, this is a function people have been begging for a long time, and it looks like CIG has taken notice. Being inverted, of course, allows for a much better field of view as you're sitting in that turret. So as the pilot enters the cockpit, we get our first look at the Retaliator's custom UI. Now, being an older ship, it sports an old school 2D radar similar to the one found on the P-52 Merlin. I really like the radar display as well as how they incorporated the various idiot lights and the shield status displays in the physical cockpit. As soon as the ship is operational, another group of salvagers arrive in a newly upgraded Constellation. The Constellation model looks gorgeous. Can't wait to see that in our hangar. So there are 4 crew members in the ship, 2 of them, of course, in the turrets, and 1 of them's in the central pilot's chair, and the last one is in the right co-pilot seat. The co-pilot has a similar display to the one in the Talley's engineering room. Now, being a newer ship, the Connie's engineering display is holographically projected in front of his seat, so he's able to watch the battle as he makes adjustments to the ship. Now, a battle ensues, and the unmanned Cutlass is the first casualty. The 2 fighters and the turret gunners engage the Connie as the Retaliator pilot attempts to get a torpedo lock. Now, unfortunately, the torpedoes don't seem to work, and after taking quite a beating, the Connie is forced to escape using its quantum drive. Now that the threat is gone, the 2 fighters return to base using their quantum drive, but it seems that the Talley has taken too much damage for its engines to be able to make the jump as well. So that demo ends as the 2 fighters land back at the station, and we get a nice pleasant surprise as we see an Idris frigate fly overhead. Now, due to several issues, including the Retaliator's malfunctioning torpedoes and quantum drive, Chris decided to give us a second run-through as a sort of encore. In the second demo, we get a chance to see the torpedoes absolutely obliterate the Constellation, and the Retaliator is able to safely jump back to the home station, where we're able to see it land, and the Retaliator's VTOL engines actually swivel upwards as they're supposed to, unlike the current hangar model where they're still horizontal. So that about wraps up the Gamescom 2015 live stream. Make sure to check out the RSI site as they've posted several new articles, including the monthly report. There's a new track jacket available for purchase. And of course, the Retaliator modules are on sale. And then there's an entire announcement for the Glaive for the first 1,000 people to finish Vandal Swarm. So as always, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to hit that like or subscribe button. Once again, this has been BuzZz Killer, and I'll see you guys in the verse.